My next guest is coming off her first UFC victory, first fight in the UFC, first win over Hailey Cowan, and is Jamey-Lyn Horth back here on the program. Jamey-Lyn, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Congratulations on the victory. Couple days removed. I just mentioned it there. You're a UFC fighter now. You got your first win. Is that all sunk in yet that you're, a mainstay in the UFC and you just got to win?
I mean, it's still kind of like surreal, I guess. Like I just got home on Sunday night and I feel like the last 2 days it's just been like a whirlwind of like just some business stuff. But I feel like I haven't really I gone out for a walk a few times and people like this town just shut down when I fought. And I guess that's kind of what the only thing that brings me back to it is that like I can't walk anywhere without someone saying congratulations or like stopping and waving and just being so supportive and encouraging and this like yeah like that was so awesome. So it's starting to hit me that like what I just did was a huge monumental thing for not just me but for this whole town.
What did people like get together in like a big area and watch it anywhere? Was there like a restaurant that was showing it, or like you when you say, because I obviously, like you said, people knew you were fighting. It was a big deal for Squamish.
Yeah, so our gym, like our Casey at the gym, always sets up sort of like a viewing thing at the gym. So there was quite a few people and members from our gym and like just the community there. And then there was and then as you kind of migrated through Squamish, the Cleveland Tavern, one of the pubs downtown, they had a viewing and they had some like auction prizes to give out. And that place was packed. And then it's Icebreaker baseball tournament here in Squamish. So it's a pretty big, it's like the grand opening tournament for the league. And at 1:30, they didn't schedule any games, but they put up a huge projector. So there was like 400 people there, like watching like from all the games. They just put everything on hold and they had this huge viewing party there. Then like I came down to Vegas with like 15, 20 people. 7 of my friends bought tickets and were at the actual event. And then just like everywhere, like I had one of my other sisters was in Mexico with like 14 or 15 friends, and they didn't get on the shuttle. They stayed in the airport because they didn't want to miss the fight. So they sat in the airport till that was over and then went to their hotel. And I mean, I just keep getting photos and videos of like groups of people like just coming together. And to me, that's the most special, like amazing part about all of it.
There's so much to talk about the fight. Let's start first with the fact that I know Hailey had a tough cut getting in. Did that like affect you at all? Like in terms, I know for some fighters, when they hear a fighter, is having trouble making the scale, it's, confidence goes up a little bit. Did it have any effect on you at all? Or how were you feeling when you found that out?
Honestly, like I don't think it really even fazed me. I just kind of saw the message from my agent. I let my coaches handle it. They always have my best interest in heart. We put in so much work to not take this opportunity. So I knew that probably wasn't going to be a possibility of saying no. They obviously exhausted their efforts to say, hey, like, has she tried? What does she have? There's a couple hours left. Can she make the weight? She was advised medically not to. So it was kind of our decision if we wanted to fight or not. And I mean, I'll never say no. So I let my agents and my coaches deal with that. And then once they made the decision that we were fighting, I didn't think twice about it. Like,
yeah.
I just think that there was just no benefit to crying over spilt milk. You know what I mean? We said yes, we took the fight. She was 2 pounds or so, or just under off. And really, to me, it didn't make a difference if she was 5 pounds difference. I was still going in to implement my game plan and do my job, and we did, and it worked.
You look like a veteran in there. I got to say, when I was watching at home, you hear UFC jitters, right? Like it didn't really look like that for you. It's one thing visually to see it, but how are you feeling in there as it was your UFC debut?
I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and say that I probably didn't have a little bit of an adrenaline dump. Like the whole fight week process was amazing. It was such a cool experience on its own, outside of just the fight itself. But I do know in round 2 that my lips were so dry. My mouth was so dry that my lips were stuck on my mouth guard. And I just kept trying to get my mouth guard and my lips separated. And Jay, my striking coach, was yelling body language. And not that I felt like I was tired, but I kind of had a little bit of a, oh shit, like this is the second round. Like my body's like, whoa, like this is actually happening. And then third round, I just like the jitters were gone. I was back at it, game plan full force. And you can kind of see that through rounds 1 and 3, that those were my rounds. Second round was pretty close, but you can kind of see that sort of dip in the middle there. And then I came back through and powered out.
Was there anything about her that surprised you?
I did hit her with some pretty good shots. I've kicked a lot of guys in the gym lately, and some of them throwing up on the mats after some of the body kicks. So, the fact that she took some of those shots that I gave her and continued to push forward, my coach was surprised with some of those shots. Y- you know, I actually thought she might have been a little bit stronger than me up against the cage, but I didn't feel that way. As soon as she got her hands on me and we started kind of flip flop back and forth, I felt like I wasn't undersized. I wasn't under strength. My strength coach will argue and say he knew that was going to be the way all along. But for me to get in there and get my hands on her, it was one thing, before and during that fight that I was surprised for sure.
How confident were you that you had the decision? You never know with the judging, right?
Yeah, this is my first pro fight going all the way to the
Right.
judges' scorecard. It's not something I'm familiar with. It was kind of a weird feeling, to be honest, just standing in there being like, I don't know what's going on. I was super confident after the first round. My coaches told me, we have that round. Second round, he's like, it could go either way. It could be one apiece. We have to win the third. So we knew we did enough in the first and the second. Obviously, when you leave it to the judges' scorecard, that you never know what they're looking for. But I knew right after that bell went and we hugged, and I could just see in her face, I felt a little bit of her heaviness. I walked around with my hands over my head. I was pretty confident that, that we did enough and that I landed some more significant strikes for sure.
Now, you mentioned it being a close fight. I did see on social media her team, sort of posted something, kind of implied it was a robbery. What was your? I don't know if you saw that. What was your reaction to that?
Yeah, of course, social media, people share things and post things and it's out there and for everyone to see. And, I said it before and, obviously Hailey's an awesome person. She's got a big heart and she's, she's fighting the UFC just like me. So, props to her, but I was surprised at how emotional that post was immediately after the fight. The judging has been an issue and, I have no doubt that there are complications with every sport and every judging and reffing and whatever it may be. But I didn't think that it was that big of an upset that was the outcome it should have been. I was pretty surprised on that. But like I said, I just don't really develop in that sort of negativity. I'm not really that great on social media. I kind of just stick to the positive stuff, and I just celebrated the team win and let the haters hate. And obviously there's other things that happened on during that fight. There was a little fence grab situation and I know DC and I know a lot of people are going to talk about it and I have no problem talking about it. I've been asked about it already and yeah, it's just a part of the sport, obviously the positives and the negatives and the, things that come with it. That's just the nature of what we're in. We're two people in a cage, for everyone to watch. There's going to be criticism everywhere.
Very well said. Nothing you can do. It's not, it's not up to you how people score the fights, right? Like you just got to do your job and go out there. And for what it's worth, there's a website called MMA Decisions. I'm reading it right now. It looks like 8 media members scored the fight for you. 4 actually scored it for Hailey, which surprises me because I think most watching, maybe I'm a little biased because of where I live, but I thought you won. So that's kind of interesting there. How did you celebrate after the win? Again, you get the victory, it's first UFC, and it was early in the night too. So I'm sure you got to enjoy some of the other fights. How take me through the rest of the evening.
Well, right after the fight, it was quick in and out. I mean, obviously the nature of being at the Apex, you just don't have there's just not it's not as big of a crowd platform. So there was no green room or anything for the fighters post fight. However, they treated us great. We were in and out. I had seen the doctor. I had a couple interviews I did with the broadcast team, and then some team photos. And then they sent me in this sick Cadillac SUV back to my hotel, showered up, and then by 3 o'clock, I was sitting along the Las Vegas Strip at a bar called Tom's watching the rest of the fight. So it was really surreal to be in the cage fighting, winning, and then coming out and then sitting here like on, in some bar watching the rest of the fights play out. It was pretty cool. So I spent the rest of the fight afternoon watching those leftover fights from after us, and then walked up and down the Las Vegas Strip, and then danced my night away at a little nightclub.
That's good. Oh, so you did get to go out. That's good. Because I know sometimes like usually you're too tired or whatever, but I guess because you were so early, you could actually enjoy everything, right? Actually, come to think of it, the card was on pretty early for us, right? So
it was 1:30, but I don't drink I mean, very seldomly, like if a sister's wedding or something, but so I had like maybe 1 or 2 drinks, but yeah, normally I just want to go to bed and I just want to hang out and have some food and stuff. But I mean, I was in Vegas and I had 20 friends there and everybody's like, let's go. So, the morale stayed high. And I think today now it's sort of like that sort of adrenaline dump crash sort of is started to set in. I'm a little bit more methodical. I'm a little bit more chill and hanging out with the dogs and lots of food and rest. So I think it's now starting, that sort of feelings now just starting to set in.
How's it having Jeremy Kennedy in your corner?
Oh man, he's awesome. We knew like weeks or like shortly after we got this call, we had some decisions to make, and that was a really smart, good decision on our part. Give him a call, and you know, Casey called him and barely got the sentence out, and he's like, yeah, 100%. You know, he's in Vegas. He has connections. You know, he's obviously a wall grappling guy. Like that's his thing. So it made complete sense to bring him on board, and he was so like at our call whenever we needed. So we got a couple days in training together when I first got there. You know, he gave me a couple tips and tricks, which worked out in the fight for me. And he's just great. He's a veteran. He's been there. He's experienced, and you know, he's very calm, very methodical, and just an amazing contribution to that fight.
With your interview with DC after the fight, and even in our interview before the fight, kind of hinted that you might be staying in this weight class. Have you given any more thought to that?
I mean, I think, you know, I didn't feel like I was undersized. It definitely was a different experience fighting 10 pounds heavier, just carrying that extra 10 pounds. It just hits you a little bit different. So that just be something that I want to just touch on a little bit with the rest of my team going forward. But I think, you know, ideally I'd like to be back at 25, but I think for the experience and in short notice fights and stuff, 125 or 135, you know, depending on the opponent and depending on the situation, I don't see that being a problem. I could probably hop between the two.
Speaking of short notice, June 10th, right around the corner, UFC 289. You got to be on that card. They don't have any BC locals on. Like, I know they have Canadians on there, but I don't think they have any locals. Is there any update on that? Because I think, like you just mentioned, the people just watching your fight and even the people that came down to Vegas, I can only imagine what it would be like if people could actually go watch you fight live.
Yeah, you know, I've had like, I think the 3/4 of the messages that I've had have been like, when can we get tickets for Vancouver? I'm like, well, I don't even know if I'm fighting in Vancouver. You know, there's been some conversations. They've asked, you know, if I'd be interested. So there is definitely a flyweight fight on that card. I think Maverick and Jasmine are on that card, and that's a possibility of a step in if something comes up. You know, I know the card's getting pretty full. I know they just added a couple fights recently. You know, maybe things will change. Maybe I will get an opportunity or an offer, but at this point, I don't know. I mean, yeah, we'll take it, obviously. You know, I came out of this fight pretty unscathed, couple little bruises here and there, but that's about it. So a quick week off and then a quick turnaround back into fight camp. It's not unheard of, and it's not too far fetched. So we'll just see how the chips fly lately.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Okay, before we go, you mentioned kind of, you know, being with the dogs, relaxing, all that stuff. What are you doing the rest of the week? Like, I know you do probably a little bit of training, but I'm sure you're going to indulge a little bit. You got anything planned the rest of this week for the Victory Tour?
Well, my agents gave us a box of crumble cookies, and I didn't consume any when I was down there. So I've been chipping away at them the last couple days.
Okay.
I'm gonna head down to the city, and tomorrow get back my first day full on training down in the city with the team down at WKX. And then just recovery. You know, like I've got some really good sponsorship, and some people reached out to me here. So, you know, just physio and massage, and I'm gonna go and check out this Ayaka spa, which is like a local cold plunge sort of place here in town, and you know, just sort of enjoy and soak up all the recovery and get my nervous system back to square one, and you know, consume all the calories. I got right off the airplane. I rolled right in town. I stopped at Sunny Chiba's, and I got the biggest chimichanga I've ever had. I ate it on the couch with these Normatec boots on, and I woke up at midnight, passed out with the boots on, and the tacos sitting on my chest. So
Wouldn't expect anything less. I love it.
Yeah, Mexican, man. Burritos, donuts, all the goods. Actually, didn't see Sunflower Bakery made me some Long Johns.
I did see that. Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah, so you know, I love my donuts, and I love my dogs, and I love my deadlifts, and I love everything about it. So I'm gonna get back in the gym, and I'm gonna consume lots of calories and enjoy.
There you go. Jamie, thanks for doing this. Again, congrats on the win. Anyone you want to thank before we get out of here? I'll give you the last word.
I just want to thank everybody, my team, you know, obviously the whole community of Squamish, like Mike Chandler and all those guys, and Nicole Chemko for hooking up all these viewing parties and just bringing the community of Squamish together, you know, while I was away and supporting me, and you know, my team, my coaches for coming down and spending their time away from their own families to be there for me, my family for coming down and spending their time. And, you know, just all my sponsors from the top to the bottom. I'd sit here and I'd miss somebody, so I ain't going to say anybody specific, but, you know, just stay tuned for my Instagram. I'm going to give out lots of love, and I can't wait to continue to celebrate and grow with the rest of Squamish.